What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So I'll be making schedule predictions for every single Power 5 team in college football for this upcoming season, and I'm also going to do a subsequent conference standings video just once I finish every single team in a specific conference as a synopsis video. And those little synopsis recap videos will be coming later on into August as we get closer to the start of the season. I've got to get through all of the individual ones first. We've just finished the SEC. We're about to finish up the ACC. We're going to keep on rolling from there. So let's go ahead and get into the Wake Forest schedule predictions. So some quick thoughts on the Wake Forest program as a whole heading into 2022. And this is a program I'm actually super high on, much more so than the average person seems to be. And most of that hype, I think, comes due to the offense, in my opinion at least. Sam Hartman is one of the most underrated quarterbacks out there, in my opinion. He leads an offense that was absolutely lethal last year. I think they're going to be just as good, if not better, this year. They're also just a really fun team to watch with me for how long they hold the mesh point on RPOs, which can create some really crazy plays. The entire offensive scheme as a whole just makes for some really thrilling plays. Very fun offense to watch. If you haven't watched any of their offense stuff, it is worth a watch. It's really interesting, a lot of the stuff they do with some of the traditional RPO concepts and how they play around with it. But anyway, with that said, the defense has to be much better, and I think they can be, but will they really be is what will determine how good this team can be. What this team's ceiling is how much better will the defense be than they were last year. And really, I think that kind of will help determine them things for the program as a whole going forward as well, to see how well Dave Clawson can really improve the roster as a whole, the entire team unit, year over year over year. We know the offense is going to be good. They have a very good quarterback. They were very good last year. But can they really take that next step to improve overall? I think that'll really tell you what the ceiling for this team is going to be. So let's go ahead and look at some games that aren't worth talking too much about because the opponents just don't have a great chance of winning, barring something kind of catastrophic. And those games for me are VMI, Liberty, and Vandy. Now, Vandy has a shot to win, much more so than those other two. I still find it highly unlikely, though, to the point of really considering it not worth discussing. Yes, they get them at home, but Vanderbilt is not going to be a good team next year, and Wake Forest I think is going to be a very good team next year. So again, really just not worth talking about, in my opinion. And so the first game we're going to talk about comes all the way in Week 4, and that is against Clemson at home for Wake. What a way for me to start off talking about their schedule, probably the biggest game of the year. I think this game is going to be incredibly interesting. I think this game determines a lot for the ACC as a whole next season. I think it's two of your very best teams in the conference going at it. Wake Forest has the home field advantage, and I think early in the season, too, Clemson is going to be in a little bit of an interesting spot with two new coordinators and two new play callers. Their quarterback situation is up in the air. Is it going to be DJU? Is it going to be Cade Klubnik? If it's DJU, what kind of DJU do you get? Do you get the same offense they had last year? Because if that's what you get, they're going to really struggle. And if it's Klubnik, we don't know. He'll be a true freshman. We don't know what he's actually going to be. So there's a lot of intrigue there just on the Clemson side. On the Wake side, there's a lot of intrigue as well. I think Wake gets what would be a big upset here. I don't think the point spread will be too high, but I think that regardless, Clemson will be favored. I think they probably should be favored. I think they're probably a slightly better team overall. But I think with a lot of the circumstances around the game, with it being at home for Wake, I think Wake has probably the better quarterback. Well, not probably. I think Wake has the better quarterback at this point in this game. I think they have the better offense by far. If their defense can hold up well and limit Clemson's offense, I think Wake gets the big win here, gets a big upset to early on in their season really carry them forward. The week after that, they are at Florida State, and this is one where you could really have some letdown mode going on. Definitely going to want to be on guard for this. Don't take that one lightly. At Florida State is not going to be an easy game by any means. Now, they are the better team than Florida State, in my opinion. They're noticeably better than Florida State. And, all things being equal, they should beat Florida State probably 7 or 8 times out of 10. I think they get the win here. But again, huge letdown game. Definitely circle that one on the calendar. Don't overlook it, especially if they do beat Clemson. Even if they lose to Clemson and play them tough. Huge letdown situation there for the at Florida State. The week after that, though, they play Army. And if you want to talk about letdown teams, play Army right before a bye week following 2 really tough conference games. Army is a team that never is going to be as talented as who they play. But because of the offense they run, your defense has to be incredibly disciplined. And Wake Forest does not have a history of having an incredibly disciplined defense. There's a lot of letdown mode going on there. You're right before a bye week that you're going to want to get into to get some needed rest. I think Army shocks everybody and gets a huge upset against Wake Forest. Now, again, is it likely? Not really, but it's also, as far as upsets go for like a lower level, not even really G5, but G5 level team over a big-time Power 5 team, Army is the one that consistently is fighting teams to the very end and is almost pulling off upsets. They have pulled off a couple. I think they have a very good chance to pull this one off with a lot of extenuating factors around it. So I'm going to say Army gets a huge upset there. Then Wake Forest plays Boston College at home. They're coming off a bye, which in this case would also be coming off of that Army loss. I think they're going to be completely locked in and focused. I think they're going to have a very strong performance against Boston College. Boston College is good enough to give Wake a run. They're definitely a scary team for them, and they play a very physical style of football that I think could be somewhat problematic for Wake Forest in the way that they play. I still think Wake gets the win, though, probably by at least 2 scores, but definitely one to keep an eye on. You follow that one up with another one that is really intriguing to me, and that's at Louisville. I'm high on Louisville this year as well. I really like their offense. I like their coaching staff. I think they're going to be a really tough out for a lot of teams, and getting them on the road here could be difficult. I do think Wake is just better by a wide enough margin that they still get the win, but keep an eye on that one as well. A lot of games here that I think Wake is the better team in. I think they're going to get a win in, but they're losable, and Wake needs to be on top of things to make sure they get a win because they're not better by a huge margin in a lot of these. So again, I have Wake beating Louisville. Very close game now. The week after that is at NC State, and this is another one where I think it's 2 of the very best teams in the conference going at it, and they're on the road in this one. I think NC State is similar to Boston College, a very physical team. They're very disciplined. They're very well coached. At this point, you're late in the year, so all the kinks are worked out. I think it's a tough matchup, just the way that the teams line up. I think it's not a great matchup for Wake. A game that could go either way. I think it's going to be a very, very good game, very interesting game. I'm very excited to see how it plays out. I think NC State gets the win here. I don't know who's going to be favored or anything like that, to call it an upset or anything like that. But I think NC State gets a hard-fought win here to give Wake their second loss in the season. And it's one that really, really could go either way. I think it's another one that could really help shape the entire conference as a whole. And then you want to talk about a tough stretch. They follow that one right up immediately with at home against North Carolina, who is another one of the best teams in the conference, in my opinion. Now, I think Wake is a little bit better than North Carolina, not by a large margin, though. But I think the difference is they have a much better quarterback than what North Carolina is going to have. And I think coming off the NC State game, again, they're going to be very focused. The ACC picture is going to start to come in, and this is going to be a must-win kind of game for them. And they're at home. So I think that makes a big difference as well. I'm going to go that the Wake ever so slightly ekes out a win against North Carolina. Another one that they could very well lose. North Carolina has a very good team. I think they're going to be much improved over what they were last season. And so one to keep an eye on for sure, but one that I think Wake will end up winning. They end that with Syracuse the week after, and they finally start to get a couple easy games here to end the year. And Syracuse at home, I say easy game. It's not an easy game, but relative to the North Carolinas and the NC States, it is. Syracuse, decent team, not a great team, not a team that's really good enough to, I think, threaten Wake Forest even at home, even if there is a little bit of a letdown factor or they overlook them. I think Wake's just noticeably better. I think they probably win that game by 2 or 3 scores, to be honest. And so I'm going to have Wake beating Syracuse there at home right after the North Carolina game. And then they end the season at Duke, and it's just one of the easiest games on the schedule, to be honest. One of the easiest ones I'm going to talk about. Definitely the easiest in-conference game they're going to have. It's going to be at Duke. I know it's technically a rivalry game, and it's at the end of the year and all, and they're on the road, but Wake Forest is dramatically better than Duke. I don't think Duke has much hope in that one. I've got Wake winning that by 3 or more scores. And so that would make Wake Forest 10-2, and that could end up at 11-1, assuming they were to beat Army. But I think that's assuming everything goes basically perfectly, because they could also end up in that 8 or 9 win range just as easily with losses to a North Carolina or Louisville or a loss to Clemson or even a Florida State. There's a lot of teams here that are good enough to beat them. And so I think 10-2 makes the most sense. I mean, you could very, very well see 8-4, 9-3. So I'm admittedly a little bit higher than most people are on Wake. So I'm going with 10-2. If you think 10-2 is too good, I understand that I'm in the minority here. But I really do like Wake heading into 2022. I think the offense is going to be outstanding and very fun to watch. I think the fan base would be absolutely and should be absolutely thrilled with a 10-win season if they were to get it. And that would give them a shot at competing for the ACC title. And it would just be a great sign of improvement and really consistency from the Wake Forest program. They are a program that is traditionally decent but not great, and they make a run every couple of years. This would be back-to-back seasons of them making a real run at the ACC title. Even a 9-win season, though, I think should be seen as a success from the Wake fan base, all things considered, just as a program. But 10-2, where I have them, I think would be considered a resounding success. Anyway, though, that'll do it for this one. Let me know down below in the comment section where you guys agree with me and or disagree with me on the Wake Forest schedule in 2022. Tell me what record you think that they're going to have next year and who, if anybody, they're going to lose to. Also, if you've made it this far in the video, be sure to go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more college football content in the future. Liking the video just really helps me out, lets me know that you guys are enjoying it. And subscribe because, like I said, I'm putting out a video for every single Power 5 team on these schedule breakdowns. I've already finished the entire SEC. This video will be the last of the ACC unless you count Notre Dame. They'll be coming out soon, though. And then, yeah, I'm going to keep on moving right along after that. So a lot of content coming out soon. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.